30 or 40 seconds. I'm going to get up. I'm going to cue you, Tyra, and you just start. Okay?
Hello. Welcome to the Dr. Tyra. There we go. Okay, so this has been a while. I am Dr. Tyra Hodge, your co-host. No, I'm actually the host.
You are. I am your guest.
Okay, so we're going to talk about God, family, politics.
Yes.
That's what my show is about. And so, but you never know what you're going to get.
Never know. All right, especially when we two are together.
Yes. So I'm in the studio today for the first time in probably over a year and a half or two. So please bear with me as we go on this journey. And I'm with my best friend of many, many, many years, the one and only Lorena Garza.
Yes. Well, I'm so happy to be here with Dr. Tyra Hodge and all that you have accomplished and all that you're doing. So I think it's just great to be able to come together, especially this Thanksgiving week. We have so much to be grateful for.
Yes, yes. So we want to be your source of news, updates, a little wisdom, a little insight into the family, and whatever we can give you. And so I do have some news. Well, Lorena has some news, and she's going to discuss it. So this amazing thing happened. Has it been 2 years?
It was in 2023. Yes.
2023.
It was on Father's year. It was on Father's Day, when Governor Abbott signed it into law. So what we have is the Chaplains bill was introduced to legislation the last time they met. Senator Mace Middleton authored the Chaplains bill. It got passed in the Senate, got passed in the House, and then Governor Abbott signed it into law on Father's Day 2023. And schools had 6 months to vote yes or no for school chaplains. And school chaplains coming into the school will be able to work alongside all the counselors and just to be helpful, to be that anchor of hope, to bring encouragement to the staff, to the students. And so now we have over 47 certified chaplains. We have over 10, I believe 10 or 12, that are already in schools, serving in schools. I'm a volunteer chaplain at Dickinson High School. And so it's really neat just to bring hope to students. And it's we know that what we have done is that chaplains have brought hope. They have helped increase by 37% students graduating. 80% has reduced by 80% teen pregnancies. And where they have a chaplain in the schools, now this has been from 23 years in Central and South America where we have chaplains in schools, there have been 0 suicides where there has been a school chaplain. So we've brought it here to Texas. Texas has said yes. Texas was the first state to say yes. Now it has passed in Louisiana, it's passed in Florida, that they can have chaplains in the schools. And so it's not about us hitting students with the Bible. It is about us bringing hope and being there for the needs of the students.
Wow, this is amazing. See, I didn't know that it's been around for 23 years, just not here in America.
Yes, the National School Chaplain Association under Rocky and Yosuke Malloy, we love and appreciate them, but they've been faithful. They were doing this, and so they had all this data, and they brought it to Texas, and with that, they were able to talk about what great things chaplains have done. There are chaplains in airports, there are chaplains in hospitals. We know they're in hospitals. I personally have been in a hospital visiting my mother when she was in there, and a chaplain walked in. I was so grateful. And so there's chaplains in airports.
I think EMS, right? EMS and fire people.
Yeah, they have chaplains. There's even sports has chaplains.
Wow.
Even the Olympics have chaplains. Wow. And so why not students? Why not teachers? Every day, growing up, Tyra, I really thought that teachers were like Wonder Women. I thought that they had it all under control, and they do, but they also face their own struggles. They face their own stuff.
They do. You know, this is probably, I think, my 20th year in public education. And so, I spent many years praying for students, and I still do. I still do, and I cry out for the district that I work with. But, one year, I say about 10 years ago, a principal took me on a walk. I get to work early, and he was there early. He says, "Hey, come walk with me." I didn't know he was going to tell me. I thought he was going to tell me that I sucked. And so he did not. And so, but he took me on this walk. He says, "I know you're here early in the morning every day." He says, "I know that you're praying on these kids." praying for these kids. I know you are. He says, but I want to tell you something. And we begin to walk around classrooms where teachers are there early too. They were there getting their day started. We know that teachers don't work a normal 8 to 5 job. They're working all the time. And work a lot before school and after school. And he said, this person gets here early and they're struggling and, to, do this and that. This one, they have 3 behavior kids in their class. And he just began to take me on this journey around the school. He says, I do all this to tell you that it's not just the students that need prayer, but it's the teachers.
It's very true.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. And you don't realize everything that they face. I know that it's so different than when we were in school, Tyra. So I know that the different situations, different personalities that they meet with the different students, and then of course the parents. And so we definitely need to be praying for our teachers and all the administration. So it's great when we have teachers and principals that actually believe in the power of prayer. We have been very graced at Dickinson High School. I have overseen a Bible club for 15 years, United for Christ Bible Club. Now Pastor Luz Artiega is overseeing it, and we have our host church, Living Faith Outreach, that helps oversee that Bible club. But we have Bible clubs in junior highs and at the high schools, and so it's really neat. So moving to chaplaincy was the next step for me, and so now I'm helping to put chaplains in different schools, and I think it's the gift of presence. For some of these students, they don't have parents, they don't have a stable home, and so sometimes a teacher is filling in as a parent. And coming in, I'm just a volunteer chaplain, and so I some of these students, I've known them since 9th grade, some of them since 7th grade, and I had a special note. It was so sweet, Tyra. They were writing thank you notes on Thursday for the Bible club, and I was handed a note, and so I got it, took it home, forgot about it, then I remembered, okay, so I opened it up, and it said, thank you for not giving up on me. This student I followed since freshman year. I think I'm going to frame it. I cried, and I was just grateful. I said, God, that's just one student. It's that whole starfish story, or that God goes back for that 99, that one, and leaves a 99. I think it's God, every student is so important. That God is not just a number, a student ID. Every student, every teacher. And I believe having the chaplains in the schools, having great teachers, having great principals, and school board members that are putting this stuff in. Of course, the Blue Bonnet. Yes, we thank God. Julie Pickren, just amazing, has been School Board of Education for Texas. And I was helping with the Blue Bonnet curriculum, and it's now, but was passed on Friday. And so what this...
I thought you were talking about the newspaper. I love the newspaper.
Yes.
In Liberty County.
No, this is a new curriculum. We just passed on Friday. And I was just watching, she was a guest at Grace Community Church, and just watching how it's going to tie in. Sometimes, like, let's just say like the Golden Rule. Do you know where that comes from? That comes from the story of the Good Samaritan. But we know the Golden Rule, treat others as you want them to treat you.
Absolutely.
But all that's based, and I think a lot of times we quote things, and our founding fathers quoted things, and they're biblically based. And so it's not that we're just going to be, oh yeah, this is the Bible, but it's knowing where this stuff comes from, giving a good principles for students to realize, okay, this is important. Valuing other people is important. And so... Yes.
So I was going to do interviews for a co-host, and so I'm going to say that Lorena got the job.
All right, co-host. All right, that'd be cool, Tyra. I'd be honored. We can work it out. I think it's just need to proclaim Jesus. And I think for even parents, even moms, I'm thinking about this week.
It's very unfortunate because Houston Media Source is probably going to make us proclaim Jesus on Sundays. And so they do have strict policies of, when they air shows and everything, but I knew that my show was supposed to be called God, Family, Politics.
Well, but we need to get involved, Tyra, and if I can say this, and Tyra, I'm sure you can edit it out if I'm not supposed to.
No, we can't say like how much something costs.
No,
there's some rules. There's some rules, but
I was gonna say that I grew up where we didn't talk about politics. I grew up in church
Exactly.
where it was like church is church and politics is politics, and you don't mix the two.
Mm-hmm.
And now, they took prayer out of school, and when that happened in 1961, you're wondering, where was the church? Why was nobody talking about this one person that took prayer out of school and had such an impact? And now you can see how all of this has happened years later. It's like, okay, well, what's the effect of that? Was definitely students.
They were all,
Yeah.
hallelujah. And the place went wild.
Yes, and so now bringing, it started even before the chaplains, bringing the whole "In God We Trust" signs. Just one sign. It brought such people getting upset. It's on a penny. All right.
Okay,
It's on a
yes. So I wanted to get into all that.
Yes, I'm so sorry, Tyra.
Okay, so I'm going to be very transparent and I'm going to be honest. And I'm sorry, y'all, this is just how it goes with my shows. But I think honesty is important. Sometimes I try to shut up, but then I just vomit these things out of my mouth. But I actually went to go speak on school chaplains to testify for you in Austin last year. And see, the reason why I don't remember was last year because it's just so much that goes on in the world of life of Doc Hodge, And so, but I did not think it was going to pass. I did not, but
I'm glad you came in faith. I mean, she drove out there with me, and
Well, I didn't think Roe versus Wade would get overturned, and so, like I said, I want to be your source of news. I want you to know that things that are happening, that the mainstream media won't allow you to know, and so, and this is one of those things. So people may not know about the school chaplains.
Yes.
So they rose up and took a group in it. I wouldn't really call it a fight, but
We
in
testified.
Austin,
Yes,
in Austin, about how this could actually change things. And so, tell me about the resistance. Then you got to tell us the story about the school district and the Satanists. I mean, that's a must.
My
It's
father,
a must.
well, Tyra, definitely. 30 minutes ain't gonna be long enough, but I think it was really neat. So I joined them, started working for the National School Chaplain Association March the 1st, April 5th. We were testifying before the Senate. I've never even been inside the Capitol.
There's pictures.
Yeah, this is like youth pastor, all right, comes into Austin. I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking, everyone's going to be for it. Well, everybody's going to be excited. We've been talking about what can we do to help students? Well, we can help bring chaplains in to help them to just to be a moral compass. And you would not believe the people that spoke against. We don't need God in schools. And it went, through the Senate, and we had to go several times to testify. One time, we were hours waiting to testify. And there were other bills that were also there. There was school prayer. There were different things, and a lot of them got knocked down. But finally, it got passed in the Senate. Then it has to go to the House. And so I'm like, why can't they just agree together? So then you have to go testify before the House, and that was even long. And after it got passed in the House, then they all have to agree, and it has to be read 3 times, I think, where they all agree. And just a lot of people, we don't need God in schools. I need God to go to Walmart, okay? I can't believe that they can't. And so, but thank God for Senator Mace Middleton, thank God for Miss Julie Pickering, thank God for Mr. Brandon Creighton, and all these wonderful people, Steve Toth. There are so many people that, thank God that we have legislature, people that believe in God, and they help pass this. And so then the schools had 6 months to vote yes or no. And
so all the schools
in Texas,
I didn't know that.
Yes, all the schools had to vote. And so there was no way I could go to every school board meeting, but there were some that I attended and I was invited to. And so one of them I was invited to was in Cyprus. And so I went, and the very first time I realized I am outnumbered. I'm going in there just talking about chaplains, thinking everyone's going to be, oh yes.
The people agreeing with
yes.
us.
And then I realized there were a lot of people against us. And so I'm like calling churches, hey, because you have to understand, it's not a political thing. It is a spiritual thing. And so I called churches to get their parents that live in Cyprus, churches that could get parents to go and speak. And so, a lot of churches didn't know about chaplains. And I'm like, I need this today. Please come. And so as we did this, as we did this, we went and the second time we went, I had more people represented, but there was a lot of people that were really, really angry, and they don't want chaplains in schools at all. And so they spoke up, and so it was shut down again. And they didn't want to. We're like, okay, let's have a prayer meeting before the school board meeting. I'm like, okay, guys. So I'm there and I'm filming and we're filming and it's really great. And so as we're going there, we realized I'm filming and Satanists walked in. There was 3 Satanists that walked in, and how I knew they were Satanists, Tyra, they had matching T-shirts with a demonic symbol on there. And I was like filming, and I don't know if you remember the Star Wars movie, not Star Wars. Yeah, well, they walk. The bad guys come in from.
Oh yeah, the long trench coats.
And they're coming in. That's exactly how I'm filming, and I'm like, and I'm in Texas. So anyway, so we're going and we're testifying, and these people have signs. We don't want chaplains, and so they actually testified. Hi, I'm from the Satanic Temple. You don't need chaplains. Get us. Hail Satan. And people clapped, and I just was surprised. And then they time you like 2 minutes, and so we go up there, and I go up there and speak. And actually, I was asking God for this is the 3rd time I speak at the same school board, and I was telling them, because there were some parents, I don't want my child to see a chaplain, and so I spoke and I said, for those of you, your students may never need a chaplain, all right, but because y'all have such a strong, dynamic team at your house. But there are students that don't have that at home. They don't have a safe place. And so a chaplain is there for them. And so, but they were like already, okay, you got 2 minutes, it's over. Like they were already announcing me. And I just think it was just a spiritual thing, Tyra, that I would go home crying. I really would. And I was like, wow. I went out to, different schools and, no, we don't want chaplains. And it was, I was like, God, they're not saying no to me. They're saying no to God. Mm-hmm. And so my daughter goes, Mom, why do we keep going if they're going to keep saying no? And I said, it's for the win. We're going to go for the win, because what we're doing is we are planting that seed into that stony ground. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. And we're going to see God move. And I truly believe there were schools that did say yes and were able to get chaplains in there. Dickinson ISD said yes, and I'm already serving in there. And so it is neat because we can see the change of students just knowing that there's a safe place, there's a safe person to talk to, mm-hmm. And what an impact it has already made in the schools.
That's amazing. It's amazing. And what a fight, and I commend you for standing. When there's nothing else you can do, what do? You stand and you believe and you confess the word of God, because if we don't do something, then who's going to do that? And so I was talking to one of our a sheriff that works at the school, and I was telling a lot of the students that are in the school, a lot of their parents, maybe their parents of the students that are there, their parents maybe when they were growing up, maybe were forced to go to church. Maybe their parents were like dragged them to church. Mm-hmm. And this other students that the parents like, I'm not going to make my child go to church at all if they don't want to. And I said, just imagine if those students have kids, we're just one generation away from being, a godless generation. Well, thank God for President Trump. Thank God for bringing prayer. Is one of his things. Is like, we're going to bring prayer back in school, and that's really great. Texas just passed that there's going to be. You can see that the Bible is part of our heritage here in America, and so I think that it's not going to be a bad thing. I think it's a great thing because it gives the students hope. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of students have lost hope and have, even like I said, that I went and delivered the In God We Trust posters the year before in 2022. And I said, what if one student that wants to end their life sees the sign In God We Trust and will cry out to God and change that student's life? Right. I'm like, what's one student? And so I just thank God. I believe that God is moving, and we are all getting to be a part of that, of what God is doing. So
definitely, if people are interested in being a school chaplain, definitely please look us up. You can look at campuschaplains.org. And if you're interested in how to get involved, we need more people. This is not just here in Houston, Texas. This is all over all over Texas. So in Odessa, Texas, there's volunteer and there's paid positions that are available. And in Odessa, Texas, they said we want volunteer chaplains. And so we had a pastor that was serving on the school board, and he actually got other churches involved and says, okay, if they're going to be volunteer chaplains, we're going to get the youth pastors to go through the training so we can know what chaplains are coming into the schools.
Yes.
And so that's what they've done in Odessa. We've got 2 or 3 chaplains that are serving there in Odessa. So it's growing. And I thank God for all the people that are involved. We've got different ones. We've got charter schools that have chaplains that are serving, Newman Academy. And so it's neat to see and to hear the reports of how the chaplains have already made an impact.
Wow, this is so awesome. How are we doing on time? When do we stop?
Okay, it's 12:10.
So when do we stop?
He said 38.
Okay. Keep
28 minutes. Okay.
So, so we have that. So what about the election?
Well, I'm telling you, I couldn't go to bed, Tyra. I was praying. I felt like if I went to bed, President wouldn't win. But I believe, like I said, it's a spiritual battle. It is vote. There's no perfect candidate. I mean, there isn't a perfect one, but vote the one that has the principles closest to the Bible. So I stand for life, and it really, I personally, I had a miscarriage in 2007. So when they compare the other party, when they compare a miscarriage to abortion, I was upset because I'm like, miscarriage is not the same as abortion. I didn't have a choice. I lost a child. I have a child in heaven. You don't compare that to. That's just abortion is a choice, and a miscarriage is not a choice. And so there were so many things that what the other party stood for. So I am voting for a party that stands closest to my biblical values, and we stand for life, and we stand for godly marriage.
I had students that would ask me, probably back in 2016, they're like, hey, I'm like, but Miss, I'm gay. I'm like, nobody cares you're gay, and basically really, what I told the student was, I have my own beliefs, and what I told the student was, nobody cares you're gay. I said, this has to do with people taking away your freedom of speech.
It's very true.
And I said, you need to watch that you can have your freedom of speech, because what we saw in the progression of 2016 to now is freedoms being taken away. Yeah. This is what we know. Mm-hmm. We know that there was federal plants inside Catholic churches watching Catholic churches, calling them domestic terrorists.
So sad.
So we know that parents that spoke out at school districts against critical race theory, that the FBI raided their house and they were called domestic terrorists. Mm-hmm. These are our rights being stripped right away, and that's what you want to vote for.
And then the books, of course, don't forget the parents that went and spoke against the books that had things that were not appropriate for children. These are in the libraries, and they're reading it, and they're being taken out of school board meetings. And so we should know as parents what our children are being taught and what is in the libraries. And I think it's just very sad when I'm like, are you serious? You want a kindergartner to know about this stuff? Yes, and it's just the enemy the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus, I've come to give you life. So knowing, and I think a lot of times some people don't realize, and you need to find out for yourself, find out a good source of information, like, really reading exactly what that platform stands for, exactly what this platform stands for, and which one lines up with the Word of God.
What's the point of having a school board if you can't go up there and voice your opinion? And if you're going to be considered a criminal, not just a criminal, but a terrorist for having a opinion, especially a wholesome one. And so we know these things happen. So we know that because Donald Trump felt a certain way that he was called racist, but nobody remembers that he was right there with Jesse Jackson pouring money into his campaign for him to be president back in the 90s. We don't talk about that, you know. And so there's so many things, and so yes, Donald Trump needs Jesus. I just, you know, yes, and but you know what? I think he's a changed man. I don't think he's all the way there yet.
But I don't think any of us are. But I think that he's strong.
Never will be.
He's strong, and what I have seen when he's looking for pastors to, you know, to pray with him, and all the people that he's choosing to serve with him, you know, even for our health, taking care of the food that we're giving our kids that we've trusted for years, but yet it's been changed because of all the different things that they're putting in our foods, all the chemicals. And so I am glad that he is lining up things and revealing the truth. And the Bible says the truth will set you free. So even in the things that we eat, the things that we stand for, maybe all this, like I was told, you don't get involved, but because believers have not been getting involved, then you have Satanists running school boards, and it's like, oh my gosh, and you're wondering why is this curriculum so off? Not even patriotic, all right? And so why? Because the church was silent. But it is time for the church to wake up. It is time for pastors to take their role, because when the church is silent, the people are silent. So it's extremely important for us all to get involved in some way, form, or fashion.
You know, it goes back to that poem about, you know, the extermination of the Jews that was happening in the 30s, early 40s. You know, when they came for such and such, I stayed quiet. When they came for such and such, I came quiet. Then, you know, it says something about when they came for me, there was nobody to speak anymore. And so we have to speak out, and we have to be honest, and, you know, let people know what's up. And so the tides changed, and the media's looking for, or they were looking for a reason why Trump won, is that the American people could see that their rights were being stripped away.
True. Yeah. Yeah, and even not only that, but even that's just the economy. You know, if you've gone grocery shopping over the past 4 years,
I can afford to go grocery shopping.
It's just crazy. And so paying gas, everything has just gone up, and it shouldn't be that way. You know, gas was a lot cheaper when President Trump was president. Groceries were a lot cheaper.
So 1 + 1 now equals 20. And so in the economy that we have, and one of my counselors, you know, she had just bought a house, and when she told me that her interest rate was 10%, I just about passed out and died.
I know,
mean, that's
just
like
crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And it shouldn't be that way. And knowing where we won't even talk about our taxes, where it's been going. I'm like, are you serious? Here we are working so hard. And so I just think that I love that President Trump has been calling it, you know, the golden era. This is going to be the golden era. And I truly believe and I think that I think churches finally came up, and a lot of people don't vote. I was surprised that a lot of Christians do not.
They don't want to get into all that.
But then, you know, we're praying, but there are times that you have something to do. You've got to vote.
Action.
And so you're thinking, okay, well, it's not in the Bible. Have they not read Daniel? Daniel was very influential to several kings. Have they not read the story of Queen Esther, how she saved a whole nation? So knowing who is in charge is extremely important. You know, Tyra, I wonder for a long time, who in tarnations let Jezebel and Ahab be president, be the kings and queens of Israel? Those are God's people.
And the thing about it, God had to use somebody not in covenant, Jehu, right? Jehu?
I believe it. Elijah was out there, you know, ministering, and
yes, a crazy king, wild king, or a wild man to did not serve God, to go after Jezebel and Ahab. I mean,
telling you,
wicked.
But I'm like, how did they get? All right, well, what happened is, you know, it all started with there was King Saul, that he was caring for the people. All right, then King David, he had a heart after God. But King Solomon, you know, he got married to all those women, and they all turned his heart from God. And then the kingdom was divided. But I truly believe as the church rises up and takes a stand, that God will touch America. And it's not just about everybody it's about God loving everybody, not just America, but the whole world. And so the gospel is preached from corner to corner. And so, yes, who is in charge is extremely important. Pray for the leaders, pray for salvation. And for your neighbors that don't know God, we don't hit them over the Bible. We just keep loving them, show them the character. Treat others as you want to be treated. And I believe when we have that golden rule and we're showing what a good Samaritan is, and we're showing the world not that we're better, but you know what? Just look into it. Look, if there's something you don't believe, look into it, all right? And find out the truth. And when you find out the truth, then you'll have something to stand on.
Yes. We got to stand.
We've got 18 minutes.
18 minutes?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's keep on talking.
All
what
right.
else can we talk about?
Well, I think that if pastors could also encourage people to get in political service, like in their civil service, serving as school board meetings, serving as city council, getting involved, having
College
people
board.
Definitely, yes. And so when that happens, our culture sincerely needs Christ. Our culture needs Jesus. And so I think people coming together, but there was such unity. I saw so many churches, people coming together, covering this election, a lot of churches and people praying. Let's not stop that. And I'm sure if you remember the story of Jonah, when he went and Nineveh, turned, and everybody repented and God did not destroy Nineveh. But 100 years later, they turned back. Okay. And then Nineveh was destroyed. I don't want that to happen to America. Right. Here we are. Everyone's gone to vote. We've all done our part. Don't stop praying.
Don't stop
This
praying.
is just the beginning. There's still a lot of things, a lot of children that have been trafficked. There's a lot of stuff that has been going on. Do not stop praying. Stay involved. And don't just, put your car on cruise. All right, the next 4 years we're going to cruise. No, we've got a lot of things to do. You've got to be able to get involved and be involved with what your children are learning. And especially like the new Bluebonnet, ask your school board, write them, hey,
tell me what that is.
Yes, the Bluebonnet curriculum, it just was approved. So sorry, it's a new curriculum that was just approved last Friday, here in Texas. And it is for kindergarten, I think, to 8th grade. Forgive me if I don't know everything, please forgive me. But I know it's not for high school yet, but I hope it does turn. But then schools that will get that curriculum will be able to get extra funding per student. And so that's really, really great. So they just passed it on Friday, and that's really neat.
But what's in the curriculum?
It's a lot of Bible-based, it's telling you history, but it's telling you like where it's coming from. And so I would have to give you all that information, but it's called the Bluebonnet. You can get extra funding per student. And so I think that's really neat because it's also going to teach students patriotism, to love America. Yeah. Thank God for America. And I think a lot of times people forget that America was founded on biblical values, the Constitution, all that. A lot of things were written from sermons. All right. And so when you realize that, so the Bluebonnet curriculum, there's a lot of information on that. If you Google that, but write your school boards that you would like to see that in your schools. And so schools will be able to vote on that. I think it's starting next school year. I believe so. Anyway, that's something.
I'm going to check that out.
Definitely.
When you say extra funding and working for public education, we gotta take a look. Yes. What else you got going on?
Well, I believe that as we're sharing the gospel, I think it's just bringing hope. I know that there'll be different people that will be listening to this. And sometimes you can get overwhelmed when you're thinking about, well, this is going on. I can't eat a bag of Cheetos. I'm saying there's just different things. I can't do this. Or just find out what's good. What's the good things that you should be eating, what we should be doing. And as you're doing that, you're taking care of your body and you're being a good example for your children. All right. Because they're watching everything that you're doing, everything that you're eating. And so it's important that we establish these biblical things, not just when we're at church, but we start at home. Start praying with your family. Start praying with your spouse, and just be believing God that God can turn a nation. And he just took Esther, took one person to believe and save the whole nation. So that if we believe, you have people like yourself and I that can make a difference. Use your voice. I think so many times we We're afraid to speak up, but if you use your voice and you use wisdom, the Bible says that God will give you the tongue of the learned, so you know how to speak a word in season for those that are weary. So I think if getting involved and be praying and be believing God for hope.
Well, this is what I did find out. And so, our battles aren't just, we have to remember, my biggest thing was the First Amendment. It's the freedom to be able to speak. And so what I did see in the last 10 years is people being punished for their belief system. And once we go there as a nation, then our nation is doomed. I mean, we saw that, and we already talked about the school boards. We already talked about these things to where, that watching that amendment just deteriorate, and it's like it didn't exist. And so,
3 minutes.
Okay. And so, but this has been a good show. This has been a good show. Lorena, I thank you for coming on, telling us about school chaplains. And you did talk about how people could sign up.
Definitely, yes. Again, the website, you will look at campuschaplains.org. You can email us at info@campuschaplains.org, and we'll get the information out to you. The phone number is 405-831-3299. That's 405-831-3299. And if you want to be a school chaplain, you can go and volunteer. You can serve and just be a blessing. A lot of times retired teachers are coming back. There are youth pastors that are coming in. Hey, I want to serve in the schools. And so it is neat because it's all of us working together to bring hope to the students and teachers.
All right. Well, this is the first Doc Hodge show in a long time, and then the first with HMS. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.